call. Mr. Mills, would you please?
Yes, give me one moment. Let's let these folks in here. All right. Thomas Lang, I believe he's excused. Okay. George Cleveland, Tom Owens, Dr. Melinda McLean. Oh, there we are. Got her. Jim Herman, Randy Lloyd,
Here.
Nikki Norris.
Probably on our way.
Okay. Terry Edlinger and Jed Hart.
Okay, so we have a forum. Why don't we just read it? That's something at the bottom here. We have a bottom here. Let's read it. All right, let's go ahead. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, very good. Next up on the agenda is, thank you again, Mr. Owens. Next agenda item, treasury report. What do we have, Ronnie?
$2,901.
Been that way for quite some time. That's a good thing. Approval of minutes, which would be from the March 12, 2025 meeting last month. I hope people had a chance to look at the minutes. And I will entertain a motion to accept the minutes with any corrections. I'll make a motion. Is there a second? Second. Been moved by Owens, second by Lloyd, to approve the minutes from the March 12th meeting. MAC members, did you see anything that needs to be corrected? I couldn't see anything. Okay. Any other discussion on the minutes? Okay, let's go to the vote. All in favor of approving the minutes as is, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? No abstention. Motion carries. Okay, next up, we have the presentations, and we're going to start with the update from Supervisor Joya's office, and Ronnie's going to give that presentation. Before you, as you start, we did have a question about the sign-in sheet, because I don't know if we've seen that before.
Okay.
So.
Just if you aren't signed up for Supervisor Joya's newsletter, you can go ahead and sign up there or reach out to me directly and we can go ahead and get you signed.
Okay, very good. Mickey has arrived. So your report.
Yes.
Supervisor, go ahead, please.
All right, so during a recent site visit, MAC members, Supervisor and Supervisor Joy's office, along with the senior traffic engineer, went out to assess several key intersections along the dam road. And that was to identify safety concerns and potential improvements. And so our discussions focused on pedestrian access, traffic flow, and driver awareness. Several low-cost and long-term options were considered, including signage, crosswalk enhancements, and signal timing adjustments. So the next step will include gathering additional data, coordinating with local schools, and inviting Monish, who is the senior traffic engineer of the Public Works, to present at a future MAC to present on safety strategies and collaboration opportunities. It was really great to get out into the field with Nikki and Dr. Lynn McLean. So that's some good information, and we'll be hopefully getting Monish here within the next few months. And final item that I have will be regarding committees and commissions. Public advisory boards, commissions, and councils are a great way for members who aren't already serving to serve in some aspect within the district. So if you'd like to know about some of what we have to offer in regards to vacancies, you can reach out to me directly, and we can go ahead and get you plugged in.
Okay. Any questions for Ronnie from the council?
Among the crosswalk things, are you talking about are you thinking about the blinking light ones?
That was one of the items. Don't know the area. I have to look through my notes, but there were a few spots along San Pablo Dam Road that were not. You may still remember, Nikki, but they weren't allowing for crossing from one side to the other without having to essentially sprint. And so those would be some of the items.
This one to get like attention. You know?
Yeah.
Any other questions from the council for Ronnie? Yeah, let's go to the people online. We've got also some people waiting to jump in. Anybody on the Zoom call have any questions for Ronnie? That's a no. How about in the room? Also a no. Okay. That was
Is
it.
it?
Wow.
That's a first.
Okay, next up on the agenda is a presentation on the county's urban link line and the 6530 land preservation plan, which is from the Department of Conservation and Development. I believe we have a gentleman here from the department.
Yes,
Hello, sir.
Hi.
Tell us who you are, please.
yeah, hi, I'm John Kopchick, I'm the Director of the Department of
Oh,
Conservation.
that's why you look familiar. Okay.
Yeah, I've been on your Zoom.
I thought you looked familiar.
All right, so my stuff now. Nice to see everyone. So the urban limit line is something that a lot of people think they understand, but probably don't. So the urban limit line is, basically it's a growth control measure that the voters first enacted in 1990. And the voters kind of approved Measure C, and then they renewed it in 2008 with the adoption of Measure F. What an urban limit line does is that it's not a line, people often think like there's no development at all outside the urban limit line, which is not the case. Like we have lots of rural farms with their houses outside the line, we have freeways outside the line. Basically, what the urban limit line says is we, the county, cannot designate urban land use. So in our general plan, we categorize all the land as to whether it's residential or industrial or commercial or agricultural or park and rec. We cannot designate residential, commercial, or industrial land outside of it. So it was enacted by the voters because the pattern of growth in our county, you probably know, was greenfield and characterized as sprawl, and it was causing all kinds of problems. And so the voters enacted this line. It has worked well, in my opinion, working in the planning department. I feel like it has caused us to cease developing outward. We still have lots of projects that were approved, honestly, 40 years ago that are still being built, but no new projects really being built out in, no being approved outside the urban limit line. The current measure expires at the end of next year. So we went to the board of supervisors and we, the staff, went to the board in February of this year and proposed to kick off a process for developing a measure to renew the line and extend it past the end of 2026. And the board approved our general idea and directed us to start the process. What we're trying to do is to write a ballot measure that would go on the ballot in the June primary. I think it's June 2 of 2026, so a year from this June. And it would renew the urban limit line and extend it, time to be determined. We suggested 25 years. The board said, let's take public input on that. Basically keeping the rules the same is what we proposed, but we're also taking public comment. And we also proposed a lot of line cleanups. So to actually, through that ballot measure, to adjust the location of the line to better reflect what we know today. And so that's probably the most interesting part. I mean, I would say we characterize it as cleanup. We just went through the countywide general plan update. And so we studied maps like crazy. And we've realized things like, you know, a lot of Bethel Island out in East Contra Costa County is inside the urban limit line, but it's mostly below the floodplain. So should we fix that? And so we went a little, we did what planners do, and we were very thorough and careful. And so what I like to do is, and I think Ronnie has it in the, put it up on the screen as well, but I have a map that summarizes the changes. And so right now we are in essentially a public comment period. So through between now and June 2, I'm getting my Junes mixed up, but through June 2 of this year, the board is asking all the municipal advisory councils, anybody else who has a comment on what we should put in the ballot measure to give us that comment. And so we're inviting you, and you could put this on the agenda for a future meeting since it's a presentation now. If the MAC had any comment on this, and for folks in the room, if that's hard to see, I'm going to pass out paper version of this map. I have some for the audience as well. Welcome. And I'll explain, I'll try to go, as the chair runs an efficient meeting, so I'm gonna try not to belabor this. We try. Do you mind if you want one to take one and pass it around and get everybody? So what this map shows is the proposed cleanups and changes. So green colors show contractions. So that means places where we pull the line in, and then the green areas which we put on the protected side of the line. orange colors and kind of pink colors are expansions. And so maybe I'll go over to the screen, Ryan, and mess up your video here.
No, it's okay.
So, like, I'll start not in your area. So around the Byron Airport, you see green. So that would be areas where that are currently inside the line that we propose to put on the protected side of the line. I mentioned Bethel Island, you see the whole line, and the blue represents the line as it would with our recommendation. So currently, all of that green area is inside the line. And what we're proposing is to change it to put it outside the line. And let's see, in your neck of the woods in El Sobrante, probably the most noteworthy thing is that green patch there. That's out on Castro Ranch Road. There are a couple of areas that are agricultural lands, but are proposed under the staff proposal to be put outside the line, because we don't really see urban development after that. Doesn't mean there can't be agricultural farm houses and those kind of things. It just means no major subdivisions. If you flip your map over, or Ron, you go to the next map, you'll see a close-up of your neck of the woods. And so you can see this is the area where I was talking about. So some of that is East Bay Park's own. That light green portion is privately owned land that is in a high fire hazard severity zone. We propose to put outside the line.
Okay,
Should I pause for questions, Chair?
if you want to just complete your presentation, then we can take.
Sure. So I will also leave you with, I have a copy of the PowerPoint slides that we brought to the board. They provide any more context. It takes you 20 minutes to run through it, but it's an easy read. So I thought I would just leave it with you there. So to kind of the high level, maybe I'll point out, since you're looking at this map and you may be worried about pink things. This is like the inner harbor of the industrial Richmond port. This is the Richmond. So basically, those are expansions, but because we think it's awkward to have the water portion of a developed harbor be considered open space. And so we rather, all throughout the county, we're just proposing to draw the urban limit line across the mouth of the harbor so that the interior of the harbor is inside the line. But it's water and it can't really be developed anyway. So it's more or less just a cleanup without any real need. So to repeat, we are eager to work on a ballot measure to renew the line and hopefully update it in ways that make sense. We are open to comments from all the MACs, including yours, and we request, and from the public, and we request those comments by June 2. And you would comment through Ronnie. If you're wanting to comment directly, you can speak with me after, but basically if you go to the Envision Contra Costa website, so if you Google Envision Contra Costa, you'll see urban limit line renewal, a whole bunch of links. You can see there's 50 maps like this one that show all the detail. There's a staff report, there's the PowerPoint slides I'm about to hand out, and there's also a link to the county's map viewer where you can zoom in on your own property and turn the urban limit line on. So I'm done now, Chair.
Okay, very good. What questions from the MAC? I have one about ballot measure itself. What is required for this passage? Just simple majority?
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions?
Yeah, do you have a map of the current boundary lines that we can look at?
Not with me, but yes, it's to see the current boundary line, all you have to do is look at all those colored splotches, and if it says expansion, then the line, you can tell which side the line went on it. So all of the line basically traversed those areas. So if Ronnie, do you mind putting that back up? About that.
Okay.
So currently, the line would follow the outside edge of the screen. And so what we're showing is how we would change it to exclude that area. There's another version of this map that's the same exact thing, but we just moved the line to the other side. So as I said, there's 50 maps online and summarize it all in ways.
Okay. Any other questions from the MAC? What's this part? It's the restriction heights, expansion, improved study by removing unnecessary islands east of the regional park district park limit.
Yeah.
What is it's like existing parks that will be then open to development?
No.
Okay.
It is, so this is where we try not to get, like, I'll try to do this real quick and you're probably not gonna be satisfied with my answer, okay? So, the urban limit line, the county's urban limit line doesn't have any force or effect in cities. Okay, so we exclude from our urban limit line all city limits. So the city of Richmond, we take it out. A lot of Wildcat Canyon Regional Park is inside the city of Richmond. It's inside the line.
Okay.
And so that little portion is just some weird leftover that's an artifact of that. So it's just stupid. It's on the map. UK Parks owns it. It has no.
Okay, so it's not talking about like making it so that it would no longer be part of the East Ridge.
No, it is not. It is just a cleanup. There is an area adjacent to it that says it's the private part of East Richmond Heights that was recently, annexed to wastewater. It's already developed. So we're proposing to move the line there to reflect that it's already developed.
Okay. Any more questions? Okay, anybody on the call have any questions for? I forgot your name.
John.
John, I got the first name, I forgot the last name already. Kopchick. Okay, don't see anybody, any questions in the room for Mr. Kopchick? Yes, Chris?
Yeah, when you talk about the waterway, then like to go up with the redevelopment and stuff like that, I mean, what kind of development would you expect in on waterway?
No development. Yeah, I mean, it's, again, I'm trying to confess, this is true confessions of OCD map makers. We don't like, there are some places where we went in the little water bodies all around it, and it's the developed harbors, nothing is going to really happen. It doesn't really, it's in the city of Richmond. It doesn't matter. We just think it's overly fussy to have the line traverse the edge of where the dock is. Like, just cut it off at the mouth of the harbor.
Okay, I do have another question for you, which is that, we're reading the paper about, population decline in California, losing congressional districts. Was that, how does that factor into the whole thing? Is it something that was considering the development, or is that just a total separate?
Yeah, no, it's considered. So we have a housing obligation.
Absolutely not.
So like the county, like all jurisdictions, facing a housing crisis, shows up as homelessness, shows up as rentally expensive, shows up, people have adult kids and they have to leave the area because they can't afford. So we're trying to build more housing, but we don't need to build more housing in a sprawl fashion. And we just completed a general plan that showed that we have, and we changed land use designations, but we have enough room in the unincorporated county alone for 20,000, more than 20,000 units. That's around, 50,000 people. So without moving the urban limit line, you can have a lot more housing and smarter places.
Okay, Karen?
Yeah, there was, on the map, there was this little island out in the bottom right corner of the larger map.
Ronnie, can you bring that up? One more time, please.
Byron Airport.
That line?
Where-
Is that what that is? BL?
No, you mean this orange one here?
No, this little, yeah, out there, DA, DB.
Right. There you go.
That,
What is that?
Oh, well, that's Discovery Bay.
Oh.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah, that's Discovery Bay and.
DB, of course.
TV, Discovery Bay, but we're taking a couple areas next to Discovery Bay, we're proposing to put them outside the lines.
Yeah, I just noticed that it was by itself. I mean,
Okay. Yeah. Any questions from the audience? Okay, Mr. Kopchick, thank you. for
Thank you.
your Presentation, we appreciate you coming to see us and sharing what was going on.
They are nice, our map maker has been there 20 years, he does all the redistricting, amazing. Chair, can I just mention two of the things that the supervisor asked me to mention?
Absolutely.
Yeah, we'll be quick, they're not on the agenda, but they're kind of teasers for you to talk about later. One is, we are working on updating our tree ordinance. Now, this is not the one in Kensington you may have heard about, that's tree obstructing view. This is the existing ordinance that we have that applies countywide. It's about when you need a permit to cut down a tree. And we think it needs updating. We've been asked to work on it for years and we've made some progress.
Okay.
And so I can leave you with a draft of it along with some explanatory tables. And would encourage you, we're hoping for Max to provide feedback on that by the end of June. And you'd be welcome to put that back on the agenda and invite us back out, but I'll leave you with some handouts.
Okay, that would be a good agenda item, I guess, next month in May, yeah, or June, because it doesn't get to your agenda.
Yes.
And the other item?
The other is noise ordinance.
Ah.
I know this group has been interested in that, so
Mhm.
as you can tell, we've got lots of irons in the fire, but you may recall that we started a countywide kind of task force to work on that, which met last year. Gave us lots of good input. It seemed like most communities had similar types of concerns. And we're making progress on that, and we expect to convene another meeting of that task force in early summer, targeting June.
Excellent. Okay. Very good, thank you again.
Thank you. Can I leave, hand up, you, or should I put them on the table?
The table will be good.
Okay.
Yeah.
And for the members, is that okay to pick them up?
That's fine, we'll pick them up on our way out.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is the sheriff's office. I do not see a representative from them here or online. What I would like to do is I'd like to flip flop the fire protection CHP, because CHP is here. And something must be going on because Sergeant Pruitt was here, he walked back, and then he put on the helmet and he's gone. And it was nice to see him because.
He's sticking around for a little bit, there's just something he's monitoring right now.
Okay, so if you could provide your report to that again, tell us.
Yeah.
Because I don't remember who you were.
Absolutely, so my name's Officer Gilmore, I'm the public information officer over the across the area. So we do want to apologize that we have not had a lot of presence in this meetings in the most recent past. A lot of that's just been the staffing. We have lots of fluctuation going on with staffing right now, and when it seems like we're kind of turning into like a training office now, where it would seem like, oh, hey, we're getting lots of new recruits, but then as soon as those recruits are, becoming officers and taking their probationary year, they're transferring out. And so, it's some stick around, some leave, senior guys are retiring, things like that. And so really what's just happening is, it's, 3 steps forward, 2 steps back kind of a thing in terms of, staffing. So, Sergeant Pruitt would mention this earlier, we used to have a community response team, which we had at least 6 officers assigned to. Currently, that's been dissolved simply because of staffing issues, and so we are gonna make an attempt to come out to a lot more of these MAC meetings. This isn't the only one, we have like 12 throughout the county that we try to attend to. And each of those, you guys have quarterly or monthly, that's monthly, but we're able to try to come out quarterly. That's what we're gonna try to do. I can't promise that based off of situations, but that's our goal. So in the future, you're either gonna see myself or Sergeant Pruitt once a quarter at these events. And that being said, Sergeant Pruitt takes and manages a lot of the enforcement that we do in our communities. I handle a lot of the public outreach and education and community outreach, things like that. And so I have found when it regards to community outreach, it's often helpful if we don't keep trying to reinvent the wheel. And if you guys already are aware of community events occurring in your guys' areas that are already happening and already planning, and it's things that CHP can also attend and be a part of. Those are events that we would like to know about and see if we can have officers representation at those events.
Okay.
Things where it's applicable, obviously, like job fairs for high schools, for colleges, things like that, or even if it's just like community fairs, things like that, where we would love to have a positive interaction with the communities rather than just what we do in our day-to-day jobs, right? Unfortunately, we don't often get those opportunities much as we would, let's say, in enforcement side, but it's a two-sided street. I like to think community outreach and community enforcement, the 2 rails that a train rides on, right? So I handle primarily the education and community outreach portion of it, though I do certainly go out and do enforcement. But my sergeant, he handles more receiving the information and identifying those hot spots within the communities, hearing from you guys, seeing what those hot spots are, and then when we do get grants, because we've been getting grants in for speed enforcement, for school zone enforcement, things like that, and then employ them in those specific areas where you guys have notified or identified. Any questions on that real quick before we move on?
This
Well,
Thursday, we're having.
That's great.
So we're thinking that.
let's let Officer Gilmore finish, then we can ask more questions.
Perfect.
So like I said, community outreach and enforcement, those are the two main, goals that we're trying to achieve with these meetings and whatnot. Just a little bit of information of what we have been doing. I manage a team of our senior volunteers. And what they do, they're community members who've come through our processes and joined our team, and they're here to assist us. I don't know if you've seen us, but they'll go out on San Pablo Dam Road, out in the Sobrante areas. They have radar trailers set up, and they're monitoring and taking surveys of speeds in areas just to monitor which areas are getting high volume of traffic and high speed in areas and whatnot. They report that information to our sergeants. Our sergeants then allocate grant areas where we offer, hey, we have some grants for speed enforcement. Specifically, we want you to check out these areas. And so we've been doing those. Additionally, we have the CHP has upped the amount of maximum enforcement periods that we have. We're now doing at least one quarterly, and as well as the normal holidays that we've always done. So that's just offering a little bit more enforcement across our roadways. So that's the enforcement side of things. We are here to hear your concerns in that regard and to transfer that into enforcement in your guys' communities as well. So.
Okay. All right, from the MAC, if you have a card, because I have an event that I'd like to email you about, so that you can
Yes.
potentially. The concerns that we take here more, we understand the staff, and we put back, this is my second stint on the MAC, but I started 5 years ago. And long prior to that, I was on back with Mr. Holmes, Mr. Herman, for I don't know how many years I was there. But this Officer Pruitt would come like monthly, and at that time it was officer, he hadn't even gotten started yet. So it's good, and it was very nice to see him here because we didn't have presence from you for a bit, about the better part of 18 months. And so it's good that you're here, because the concerns that we have, you might have heard this before, but we'll repeat it. San Pablo Dam Road, people seem to think it's a speedway. And there, as you have patrolled it, there have been accidents, some fatalities. We noticed in the past that when there was a bit more enforcement, that people tend to pay attention and slow down. And then when that went away, the problem returned. So we're hoping that CHP can direct some more enforcement on that area. Secondary enforcement would be Hilltop Drive. I live off of Hilltop Drive, and people seem to think that it also is a bit of a freeway because they're zooming off the freeway or zooming in on the freeway, over the freeway on the overpass, and the speed limit is 25, and it's like I think they're dyslexic, and I think they think it's 52. So it's a problem as well. So that's what the community is looking for, and it has for a while. We just need some help because those two streets tend to be dangerous.
Yeah.
And so.
What was the cross for Hilltop?
It's basically from the freeway.
making a right.
Yeah, basically from the freeway to La Paloma. It's like a.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that's a tricky spot. So part of that.
Yeah, I know. It depends.
CHP runs for that, some of that portion. as well.
Oh, it's also a little
Yeah.
tricky on Hilltop because the cemetery side of Hilltop is unincorporated. The gas station side up to the churches is the city of Richmond, so there is a little bit of
Yes.
challenge there, but it's still a problem.
It is a hodgepodge of jurisdiction, I will say.
Yeah, so, it's a bit of a challenge when you get on the Hilltop, I think people, anyhow. Anybody else on the MAC have any questions or comments for, is it Officer Gilmore?
Yes.
Oh, just want to make sure I get the proper title. No?
Just further on Hilltop, they treat the stop signs as a suggestion.
Yeah, that's too. That too, especially in the area where Hilltop meets Manor, the freeway stop. Especially, it seems like there's an issue with apparently people getting to and from the schools. And there are people that just like, what's a stop sign? So there is that.
Whatever that disease is, it's contagious in all of our communities.
It reminded me of something else about running the red lights. I know it's hard to monitor, but the metering lights.
Yeah.
That's some people don't realize, they don't think that red light is an actual red light and should be treated as a red light. It's bizarre. Anybody on the call, on the Zoom, have any questions for Officer Gilmore? No? How about in the room? Yes, Adam?
This may sound very naive, but is CHP looking into any citizen reporting? There's a lot of people with dash cams out there, you know, passengers with video cameras. If there were a way for citizens to report the crimes with the evidence of them being done, could CHP follow up on that?
That's a bit of a tricky situation because without getting into like the difficult legal aspects of it, fortunately, there are very few crimes that we can enforce on that haven't been committed in our presence, especially misdemeanors. Felonies, yes, you can follow up on those in certain ways. It just depends on what the situation is. Certainly report those things. I don't mean to discourage that whatsoever. What I do mean is we can take that information and we can do something with it. Whether it's build further data, log the information of what the vehicle is in the description. For instance, the situation that's going on right now that we're monitoring is involving a vehicle that fled from Antioch PD a few weeks ago. And it was picked up on a flock camera and reported seen somewhere in Oakland. And air gun overhead, and they're currently just looking for it, right? So they're monitoring the vehicle. That's about as far as we'll get on that situation right now, just because it's currently developing. But it's just an example of what we can do. So, and then on top of that, vehicles in this situation that get involved in such violent crimes and things like that, they tend to build trends for themselves. So they'll tend to repeat something. And we may not catch them that first time, but we can catch them the second time or look out for them the second or third time. And then we'll be able to identify it and then go back and say, yes, you did, or you were a part of this previous one and this previous one. And it does go somewhere. And it may not seem like it, it may not feel like it, especially because you'll put out a call and be like, I'm on the freeway, this is where I'm at, there's this car doing this thing. Got it. Dispatch will say, break away from the vehicle, and then you don't hear anything of that again, right? We do hear it, we do get monitored of those calls, and they do get broadcasted to us. There are times when we're in position, there are times when we're not. I do like to remind that sometimes, you know, for swing shifts, sometimes we only have 7 units for the entire count.
Right.
You know, and we do want to keep getting those numbers up. But, and then we do want to keep getting those grants for overtime so that we can respond in those areas. And I don't mean that in just the financial aspect. I mean it like it really is helpful to get more officers out on the road. And whether that just be monitoring construction zones and things like that, those officers aren't just sitting there. They do monitor those calls as well. I can't tell you how many times I've been working at a construction zone and I pick up and I get involved with the pursuit of a vehicle coming by. And so those officers are on call for response. They're not just sitting there doing their, you know, sitting there doing nothing, right? We're all monitoring things. And so definitely short answer would be, I like to talk a lot, I don't know if you guys know it. Short answer would be record those calls. Give as much detail as you can. Vehicle description, color, make, model, license plate, description of driver. Send it off to dispatch. Dispatch knows what to do with that information.
There's recordings that we have. Is there an email address that we can send those to?
Yes, so it's specifically, so I monitor our social media. So
Okay.
please follow our social media, first of all, so.
I can publicly shame the offenders?
Yeah, you can. So CHP Contra Costa. CHP Contra Costa is our handle for Instagram, for Facebook, and for Twitter as well. It's mainly for just your guys' information of what we're doing and responses to critical incidents. Your answer to your question is a lot of our emails or a lot of our posts, if you go back, there's an email address, especially the ones that say like, hey, we need your help.
Right.
320 investigations is the email address. So 320 investigations at chp.ca.gov.
Okay.
That's monitored by multiple officers at our office. Whenever we get emails in there, whether it's tips for future sideshows, whether it's, hey, I did notice that vehicle driving in that area regarding a fatality that we request information from. And so that's a great question. And that's definitely a way that you can get a hold of us.
All right.
So, and then Harry, and then woman whose name I don't know. Chris, okay, go ahead, Sue.
I have 2 quick questions. Number one, if you stop somebody for speeding, can you look up their immigration status?
No, we don't do anything about immigration status. So We have nothing to do with the federal operations that ISIS is doing. In fact, we're not even asking people their nationality, their ethnicity, anything like that. It has nothing to do with it. If we're making stops on vehicles because they're committing a crime, either from the vehicle code, penal code, health and wellness, or other types of relevant vehicle or codes.
I suggest you put that out there, because I think there are a lot
Yeah,
of
we
people
have.
who are so terrified
we
that they'll
posted
run
that.
from you.
Yeah, so we've posted that many times.
Okay.
It's something that we currently deal with. Every meeting we get to, it's a question we get. And I can see why people are concerned. But at the end of the day, that's a federal jurisdiction thing. And there are legal obligations that we are not allowed to assist in federal investigations.
Thank you. So I have a second quick, you may have, I don't know if you've noticed, but every Friday from 5 till 6, there's demonstrations along San Pablo Dam and Appian Way, and they're getting bigger and bigger.
By demonstrations, you mean like the sideshows?
Protest.
Signs.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Protest.
Big protest, yes,
Yeah.
sorry, yes.
Yeah, so I just wanted to let you know that that's ongoing, and
Yes.
there's likely to be ones every other Saturday,
Okay,
also from
yeah.
1
we-
till 3.
We get notification of those and we have officers that are on, alert to respond if the incident grows.
I mean,
So
it's
they are
not an
monitored.
incident, we're being careful about
Yeah,
it. But,
yeah.
But, you
It's
know,
not,
nonetheless,
this is why we're on call and not out there,
yeah.
right?
good.
Because free speech, right? We want to protect that.
Thank
and
you.
that's the whole point.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Harry and then Chris?
I just wanted to report, light optional, stoplight optional areas, El Portal, either going south on the on-ramp or going south on the off-ramp. I think that's the west side.
You mean the metering lights?
No,
Actual light.
no, I mean the actual lights.
Oh, as in
It's
the
like
lights in the
optional.
intersection. Oh, okay,
Yeah, they come off the freeway and the light will change and then the 2 or 3 cars will just.
Yeah,
roll
I've
through
noticed
it.
that.
Through it,
It's the both sides.
it's a perception of.
So
Because-
it gets really tricky with some of these unincorporated areas, because like I said, it's so funny how people draw jurisdiction lines.
Yeah.
Where's the gentleman that would?
Cop chick can take care of that.
Sorry, you appreciate
No, it's not the
that. It's as
back.
if someone just drew a line, they're like, I understand this is the city, this is,
Yeah, it's not
we're just gonna
that
draw a
easy
straight
here.
line here.
It's not that easy here.
Yeah, but
Restrict the road so
Because
that,
that
Color
off
coded.
ramp on, for El Portal Drive, getting off the freeway, 80 eastbound, I think that's actually in Richmond.
it is. So the thing is, the freeway there is monitored by Oakland PHP.
Right.
So for freeway purposes, we take Appian and everything east of Appian.
Okay.
So up until Appian, that's gonna be Oakland CHP's.
So you're Martinez then.
Yeah, so we're not going into that area unless we're drawn into that area, like unless we're chasing somebody that goes that way.
That's the Oakland CHP?
Yeah, so that may be Oakland CHP office. However, once you get into off the freeway, that's where the lines just,
So that would be
Whoever
Richmond,
decided.
so that might be Richmond.
that freeway portion and on-ramp and off-ramp would be CHP.
Okay.
Now, I will say this, when it comes to actual light equipment and things like that, that's all Caltrans.
Yeah, that works perfect.
Okay.
Yeah, it works, but it doesn't make everybody else,
Well, they just
Oh,
ignore it.
yeah.
I mean, it'd be 2 or 3 cars.
Yeah, it's constant, it's chronic, and it's
Yes.
an issue that should be looked at. All right, Chris.
So you mentioned these grants, and is there a place where we can go and look at them and see?
That's a
what
great question.
funding, and, and we
Yeah.
get a report on them?
That's a great question. So I don't have the physical. I don't exactly know the right answer, but I know the way that you can get the right answer to that question. So if you go to our website, CHP, just our homepage, there's a public request that you can submit by scrolling all the way down, and there's a button on there that says like public request, and you can initiate a public request. So for any records or stats or anything like that, that's what you can make that.
All right,
But I also wanted to say, in terms of social media, get on Blue Sky.
Blue Sky?
yeah.
What's that?
it's the X/Twitter alternative.
Okay,
Google
see,
it.
unfortunately, I don't have a choice on any of that. That's all headquarters.
It's up to change.
Yeah.
Well, we
Because
can-
there are a lot of
we-
people who are migrating.
We have his contact, and most of the ones we could individuals.
We can flutter.
Send it along.
Well, Officer Gilmore, thank you very much for your appearance here. Someone could unlock the door and let this gentleman in. That'd be great. Okay, so thank you for coming. We appreciate it. So, and I will be in touch with you about the amendment question.
Absolutely.
Okay, moving on the agenda, we have the Confire and we have Michelle Reinhardt online to give a presentation.
Hello, board. I'm here.
Wow.
I have,
By the way, I mean, a couple times ago, you were like on, sound like you're on death's door.
oh, thank you so much. It took me a minute. And I'm glad to be back with you tonight. So I have three quick updates for you. First, the local responsibility area maps public meeting was held on Tuesday, April 1st at the Board of Supervisors chambers in Martinez. We had about 25 attendees in person and about 80 on Zoom. The LRA mapping tool, local responsibility area mapping tool, is available on our website. I'll pop that into the chat. And most specifically, the slide tool allows residents to identify what their last LRA fire hazard severity zone was and what the new LRA fire hazard severity zone is. Secondly, Confire received Fire Board approval to apply and receive funding to update the Contra Costa County CWPP, or the Community Wildfire Protection Plan. Pending award, we will follow the plan of our proposal and engage community members along with this MAC board and other stakeholders throughout the county. Finally, save the date. The Confire Wildfire Community Preparedness Day is on May 3rd at 9 a.m. until 12 noon at 2945 Treat Boulevard, which is our Concord Training and Safety Division Center. Participation and admission is free. And I know how you love those Krispy Kreme donuts. So I'll have Krispy Kreme donuts and coffee and water served between 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. I look forward to seeing everyone to participate in how in a better understanding of how we're responding to wildfires, meeting the crews, and looking at our burn demonstrations. And of course, I'll be there. So I look forward to seeing you. Any questions?
Thank you, Michelle. Any questions from the MAC?
What is the website? I'm not seeing, I don't have the chat.
It's www.cccfpd, or Contra Costa County Fire Protection District.org /LRA-maps. And I'll pop that into the chat now.
Thank you, Michelle. Any other questions from the MAC? Any questions from anybody on the call? In the room? Okay. Very good. Michelle, thank you very much for your presentation as always. I'm going to email you about something else offline, so expect an email from me. I'll find you somewhere on the website and I'll email you. So
I look forward to that, sir. And it's mrine@cccfpd.org.
Okay, I'm gonna write that down before I forget it. Thank you. All right, next up on the agenda is, what is it? Oh, it says here Elks Club reintroduction.
I just sent Jim a text, told me she'd be here right now.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
Initially they were scheduled, but the leadership, they weren't able to join today, so we're gonna table that for a future meeting.
okay, that's
Yeah.
fine. We'll table that. Now, the next item is for discussion item. It's about the county file. Yes, Nikki.
I think did Tom Lane talk to you about?
He did. I'm planning to put it ahead of where it was, but I want to make sure that if the person is here for the development, that person gets the chance to talk about it, and then you're next. So, we have this, discussion item. The county file number is CDDP 25-03007. And basically, they want to construct some retaining walls and remove a tree, and it's an apartment complex in the 5,000 block of Dam Road. And is there anyone representing that project here? No? Okay. Well, in that case, we'll talk about that later, and I'm going to move an item agenda. It was erroneously omitted from this agenda. It should have been put on the agenda. And it was brought to our attention by Sue Boudreaux. She said, "Where's my agenda item?" And I'm like, "Oh, damn, we forgot." So we're putting it on now, and I'm going to call this sort of a version of the subcommittee report about cleanup and stuff, because it's connected to that. And it's a presentation, and I should have reread the email, and you're going to have to refresh my memory of what the presentation is about.
Okay. This is the cleanup and beautification subcommittee report here. We have an upcoming Earth Day event on April 19th here at the library, like we've had in past years, where we team up with spawners and SOS Richmond, the library, and Chamber of Commerce, Lawyer's Office. And so it's a combination cleanup and a celebration for Earth Day. I give you this information, and we're gonna have a presentation in honor of Earth Day about the environment by Sue and Sue, no.
And Rose.
What's that? Rose. Sue, yeah. Okay, so I hope everybody will join us on the 19th, so Saturday 19th. Sign in at 9:30. Decide if you want to help clean up the streets, pick up litter, or clean up the creeks with spawners. They'll have a couple sites that they have determined need some looking at and cleaning up. And there's also going to be a little bit of gardening here, but that's only for experienced gardeners who can help do some things at the library space here. And then from 11:45 to 2, we're going to have some music, information tables, some food for our volunteers, and some pizzas, some samosas, some sandwiches. So this time the community really stepped up. We've got some pizzas from Mountain Mike's and Chicago Pizza, and Rayleigh's is actually going to contribute some food too, some sandwiches and things like that. So we hope you guys will join us. We'll have a few speakers, and the exciting thing is this time we have face painting. So you can all get it, that's not just for kids, adults can get their faces painted too. And so it's going until 2, probably more like 1:30, but until 2. So we hope everybody will join us and support this community building activity. And we've got all kinds of postcards. If you'd like to take any, if you know anybody who needs us to hear about this, and you can pass it out to your coworkers, your neighbors, or whoever. And without further ado, I'd like to introduce Susan Blair and Rose Sanderson. So we're going to give a lovely PowerPoint presentation in honor of this day.
So this is a picture of two of my neighbors, and we're up in some of our local hills. And this, by the way, is the QR code should you wish to avail yourself of a lot of links in here, because I put in a load of resources. Next slide, please. So how do you feel about climate change, the state of biodiversity, and the state of East Bay Hills nature? Take a moment to talk to the person to your, I don't know, next to you. How do you feel about climate change? How urgent do you think it is? What do you think? On a scale of 1 to 5, where would you put it?
7.8. Yeah, we're a little late.
Just show me, where would you rate that on a 1 to 5? 1 being like, not important, overblown, through to 5 being a hair on fire emergency, or anything in between. So I'd like everybody to just think about that for a moment. Interesting. And I see quite a few people who don't have their hands up.
I said perfectly what I thought. It's beyond 5.
Okay, so we have a pretty environmentally conscious. The state of biodiversity or nature globally, how do you feel about that? Again, 1 to 5, where are we looking at that? As being like emergency to doing fine, because I've seen the beautiful nature documentary, so there's nothing to worry about. What do you think? Interesting. Okay, so you guys think that's about as much of an emergency as climate change?
They're connected.
They are absolutely connected. No, ask you another one. The state of the East Bay Hills nature. How do you think that's doing? Again, 1 being, I think it's doing great. 2 being, I think it's doing okay. 5 being, I think it's in terrible state and I'm frightened for it. What do you think? Interesting. So most of us think that our local nature is actually doing quite a bit better than global. Okay, so let's take, because I'm wanting to get through this fairly quickly. Normally I would ask you to share your favorite activities and show beautiful photographs on your phones, but I'm going to respect the time of the meeting. Could we go to the next slide, please? So this is where people in America, according to a pretty recent Pew poll, think that climate change rates. And I guess it's not too surprising, but oh my gosh, it's way down there, right? Because we're dealing with kind of Maslow's needs hierarchy here, that, people are desperately concerned about their health care, about their economics, about paying their rent, and climate change has slipped way, way down that list. And this is a particularly heavy partisan divide, with only 16% of Republicans feeling it's super important to 67% of them. Next slide, please. So I'm going to start in an unusual way for a birthday thing, where normally, as a teacher, I would probably start with David Attenborough, voicing over some gorgeous piece of nature. But we're grown-ups here, and I'm going to start off with something that shocked the heck out of me. This is a paper that I was compelled to read as part of my master's work in conservation science. And it is written by, I would say, about 15 eminent scientists from all kinds of different disciplines, from different institutes around the world. And that's what all of this is up here. World Scientists' Warnings into Action, Local to Global. And this was written in 2021. We have kicked the can down the road once again, but we are running out of road. We in our capacities as scientists, economists, governments, and policy specialists are shifting from warnings to guidance to action before there is no more road. The science is clear and unrefutable. Humanity is an advanced ecological overshoot. Our overexploitation of resources exceeds ecosystems' capacity to provide them or to absorb our waste. Society has failed to meet clearly stated goals for the UN Framework Convention on Climate Change. Civilization now faces an epochal crossroads, but with potentially much better, wiser outcomes if we act now. I could go on. This whole paper is frankly terrifying. When I read it, I just had to have a rest for a day or two to absorb it, because this is all based on genuine real world science. I'm now going to depress you one more time. I know, right? So if you want to, you can click on Trump's executive actions on climate and the environment. And it should become as no surprise for you to know that he's rolled back about 100 different environmental protections, that, as you know from the news, that he's promising to open up forests for indiscriminate logging. He's got, drill, baby drill, and so on. And the Climate Institute estimated that under his administration, something like 4 billion extra tons of carbon dioxide are likely to go into the atmosphere. So this is genuinely dark news. And now, David Attenborough, could you please click on that picture? I think it should click through. We're going to just take a couple of minutes. Will it not open?
No, I'll have to reconfigure some settings.
Okay. It's basically this, but he says it in just so much better accent than I have. But he does a very coherent job and cogent job of it. So next slide, please. So the value of nature is beyond pretty landscapes and cute pictures. It's well beyond the pristine, beautiful views of wilderness that you get from nature documentaries when you just want to relax and maybe imbibe some of the artistry products whilst relaxing to the blue planet. It's not, of course, that I myself have ever done such a thing. I usually try chocolates. But nature, of course, has a lot of value to us, and these are what are called ecosystem services. Everything from soil formation to the food we eat, clean water, fish, wood, pollination, and the vegetables you find in the supermarket. The fact that it's decently cool here in El Sobrante in the summer, you probably noticed that it's significantly cooler here than it is, say, in San Francisco. And that's because of tree cover. Controls flooding, purifies water, stores carbon, clean air. And then we get into all of these, which have a tremendous amount to do with our own personal feelings of calm and mental health. Nature, our local nature, is a refuge from the stress that many of us are feeling right now and in general. Biodiversity, photosynthesis, soil formation, all of those things happen within our ecosystems, and soil turns out to be the unglamorous and yet massively important piece that we are kind of neglecting these days, and that's what's responsible for growing our food. I'm sorry that we can't see the video links in here. That's also, if you click on that, it's not going to go through.
Unfortunately, no.
Okay.
Well, you have your ways of sharing this presentation via.
Yeah, no,
Other
if you,
methods.
yes, I'll give, the thing is
So-
at the end as well, so.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, it'll be in the newsletter that goes out on Friday.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Okay, very good.
I just wanted to let you know that there are several tipping points. Now, a tipping point, if you imagine a tray full of water and you're like carrying it out and you trip on something and it goes and then suddenly it goes over. A tipping point is something that happens in nature where you get nearer and nearer to a flip from one reality into another. So for example, the Amazon rainforest is reaching a tipping point. And that means that at some point, the rainforest itself will no longer be an ecosystem that can be repaired. It will tip over into a savanna type ecosystem. And we're getting quite near to that now. We're getting quite near to a tipping point with the ocean current that goes up from the equator to England and to the North Atlantic, and then it comes back down again under the deep current that comes. It's a convection current, right? This giant current. It's called the Gulf Stream. I'm sure you've all heard of that. And it's why England is actually relatively warm, because of the Gulf Stream. Well, it relies on having a colder pole compared to the equator. And as the poles get warmer, they're getting disproportionately warmer, that current is slowing down. And the slowdown of that current is another tipping point that is going to have a massive effect on Europe and on Great Britain as well, plunging it actually to very, very cold temperatures, at least for a while. And there are other tipping points as well. We're getting near to some of those tipping points. And that is one of the reasons why this is really kind of it should be a hair on fire. If it wasn't for the current stuff going on in our federal government, that's where my energies would be directed right now. We need to move from it being the economy versus the environment to being the economy and the environment. Because in a hothouse Earth, we will not have an economy. We will have millions of people dying. We will have people starving. We will have war. It's a nightmare, right? So we have to move towards this. But how do we do that? The answer is vast and massive and well beyond the scope of one talk here. But what we can do, could we go to the next slide, please? What we can do is local. And I'd like to start to now move over to the state of our local nature, because getting started with our local nature is a way that we can then have the strength to branch out into bigger things as well. So Rose.
Yeah, so Sue asked me to talk about some of our local government and local colleges in the area, and a lot of my job looks at land use history. So I'm quite interested in history and looking back and oftentimes explain some of the things we see today. So this is a photo of El Sobrante, from the dam looking kind of northwest out to Point Panola is at the very tip there next to the box. This is 1935. So there's been a lot of changes in the past 100 years to the local valley. The installation of the San Pablo Dam in 1919, obviously had a big impact on water systems that reach all the way out to the output there by Millinox and Point Panola. So nature doesn't really know boundaries, even though CHP and local planning does. Nature doesn't really care about those things. We've had a vast amount of development. I'm sure everybody's trying to find where they are on that map these days, trying to orient themselves. So we've done a lot of development in the area. You can see how small El Sobrante is. And with development comes a lot of cultural changes. This was a highly rangeland area. We did a lot of grazing in the area for dairy products, and we don't do as much of that anymore. Wildcats still graze, but not so much in, or, right here at San Pablo Dam, or at, Clark Road used to be a dairy. Let's see what else. And then with development, a lot of changes come with that in the vegetation ecosystem. So there are two big introduced species in this photo. One's very obvious, the eucalyptus fans. So you can see Kennedy Grove, Nike Grove, and then a little further to the right of those, there's another stand up there on Nimitz Trail in Tilden Park. So that's one of the big introduced species you're seeing in this photo. The other one's less obvious. They're annual European grasses that were introduced for rangeland purposes. So there's been a disproportionate effects on different types of ecosystems. We've lost a lot of grassland acreage over the past 100 years. We've seen actually a large increase in our oak woodland and our scrub population. So coyote brush has taken over with the gradual reduction in grazing. So yeah, these are all just interesting things to know and inform our decisions going forward. So how are the critters doing? I just talked about vegetation a lot right there. There's a really comprehensive study called Nature Check. East Bay Regional Park, as well as East Bay Land Stewardship Trust Network, got together and did a very interesting study. So it looks at all these different species here. So you can go to those and look at the actual numbers of those species over time, reported occurrences. And it also talks about their the ecosystems, the vegetation types, the structures that support these animals, and the state that those are in to kind of forecast future concerns for these particular species. Go to the next slide. So then we want to move into like, what can you do? Hopefully get a little bit more positive, right? So you can start hyper local. So started in patch. This is my backyard. So this was last year to yesterday. So it started out as a weedy grass patch. I had about 4 species total, 2 types of grasses, 2 broadleaves, all weeds. And as of 10 minutes before I drove over here, there are 32 native species now in this little patch. So this is like a 10 by 20 spot. So you can start small. If you build it, they will come. So pollinators, critters, insects, snakes. I've got all kinds of stuff in my backyard. And they help support I have fruit and veg on the other side of that gate. So, it's a hobby of mine, but probably maybe becoming more of an economic concern in the future. So it's important to give these critters some habitat as well. So if you don't have an opportunity to work, in your backyard, or you don't know what to do and you want someone to show you what to do, there's plenty of volunteer opportunities in our area, both hyperlocal here in El Sobrante and in our watershed. So this is one of the projects that I'm involved in. I'm really into grassland restoration. It's kind of my thing. So this is a project.
The same place?
It's the same place.
Where is that?
This is in East Bay Mudland. It's right adjacent to Over So actually, this particular project, there is called Skyline Gardens, and there's more info on it in the next couple slides. When we get to volunteer opportunities, but it can be done, is the point. It can be done. There are folks doing this work out there. So if this is something that interests you, if you want to learn more about how to do this, and go see that. That's not a super bloom. That's what it looks like every year. It's pretty cool, right? Spend a lot of time photographing. Anyway,
Is it like that now?
yeah, it is.
So we can go see it.
Yeah. But also come volunteer. Just don't go to see the flowers, right? They're super cool. That's why I really love this quote from Robin. That it's not enough to just love a place. We must find ways to heal it. And I love that, the idea of reciprocity. And if you love something, you give to it. Of yourself. So, okay, back to Sue.
Wait a second. Short amount of time.
That's over the course of 3 years.
Yeah,
Next
I'm
up,
not gonna see mine goes by for 10 years and it's like, no, we're even close to that.
stop the weeds is the main, is the main thing. Stop the weeds. Come by, we'll teach you. All right, back to Sue.
So, I mean, I deliberately started out really dark so that we could like move both further in and upwards. So the things to do for nature, well, firstly, I mean, that's just so beautifully inspiring. I'm like, where is that secret place? Get out into nature for you and your family's mental and physical health, and to connect with others as you hike, walk, spot birds, etc., and share your favorite spots and activities with your friends. Eat less meat. It is surprising the massive difference this can make. If people ate less beef in particular, it would free up an enormous amount of land for nature. And we desperately need more land for nature. Reduce air, and it turns out, sadly, that cruise travel mile for mile burns a tremendous amount of fuel. Who knew? And so, yeah, try and reduce that where you can. Consider ecotourism. If you do want to go places, think about going with a company or with an outfit that gives back to the places that you go to and includes local people in the in how they do it. So if you're going on safari, hopefully it's run by people who live there. Because if they have a piece of, if they've got a skin in the game, they're going to be much more likely to want to conserve the animals and ecosystems that are all around them. So ecotourism, because supporting the people who live with wildlife is absolutely key to conservation. Reduce the amount of stuff you buy, especially plastics. Shout out to our green team. Reuse, swap, repair, thrift shop stuff where you can, because the footprint of stuff is enormous in terms of both carbon footprint and also in terms of waste produced. Buy sustainably produced goods and food. Beware of greenwashing. Try to keep it fairly local if you can, and eat more plants. Transition to electric vehicles, heat pumps, solar power, etc., and exert political pressure to keep at least California's environmental standards fairly high. Next slide, please. And get out into nature and do something with others. So Rose has given some ideas about where and how to do that, and I think there's some more coming right after this slide. So spawners is one of our ones that the green team regularly collaborates with, and you can get out there into our local creeks. And they've got wonderful programs going on. Mickey's mentioned Earth Day, and you can find information on the website that Chris has set up. The River Otter Ecology Project has a need for volunteers, and they gave a talk here I think last week, and it was wonderful. And river otters, so cute. And then I'm also going to be giving a workshop using cameras on how to use camera traps, where you can buy your own camera trap. I'll buy them for you, show you how to use them, and then we'll be talking all about local populations of those animals that like turkeys. What the heck, right? Some years there's loads of them, other years, where are they? What's happened to the quails? Are coyotes a pest, or are they just like really fascinating? All of those kinds of questions we'll be addressing with this workshop. Next slide, please.
What's a camera trap?
a camera trap, it's funny that we should ask. It is a, camera that you put up on your fence or somewhere around your garden. And it will take pictures both at night and anything that moves, including, you know, your dog and sadly, in my case, criminal activity going on next door. But also coyotes and, you know, what the heck my dog is barking at. Here we have, I think this is, Rose, did you want to talk about these things here?
Sure, more opportunities a little farther afield, so East Bay Regional Park, both the foundation and the park itself have opportunities to get involved, volunteers. Different options, of vegetation, pulling weeds, helping at the Lee's Turn Island and Hayward shoreline areas, so if you're into birds. But there's a lot of opportunities for folks of different ages and mobilities available there. And then the photos that I showed before, that's the Skyline Gardens Alliance. And volunteering is also a really great way to create community, and it's very rewarding, and get to talk life, share wisdom, good food, recipes, and meet new people.
I think that's it. Oh, okay. I wanted to just give you a whole load of fun stuff to take a look at online. The Our Planet Nature documentary series is the bomb. It's amazing. The Americas is just coming out. This is narrated by Tom Hanks. It's also absolutely beautiful. And they've got a West Coast one coming out, I think, this week. The World Wildlife Fund has massive numbers of opportunities to get involved in things, gorgeous photos and so on. Al Jazeera has an All Hail Earth YouTube channel about possible solutions. Monga Bay News for environmental issues. Project Drawdown is science-based climate solutions. Super interesting. The Earth Shop is amazing stuff, highlighting innovators from around the world. And there is a wonderful book called, fittingly, Not the End of the World, an engaging, surprising book of database research on environmental solutions. So if you're interested in any of those things, there you go. And there's the QR code at the top.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sue and Rose, thank you very much for get back to the agenda. I realized that while the presentation for the county file, the discussion I was first about here, we still have to discuss it. So if we could, Ronnie, if we could go back, code the agenda, find the agenda and display that on the screen so we can take a look at it.
Give me one more. It's gonna take me a few moments to get that.
Well, actually, no, we don't. So, while Ronnie is locating the information for the big screen, it is a proposal of a development plan to construct painting and request approval of a tree permit to remove one code protected tree. It's a 5030 Dam Road. I'm guessing that the rest of the MAC had a chance to look at it. Do they have any comments, questions, concerns about it? Usually I would get some question from Mr. Owens.
Didn't get a chance to look at it. I was hoping to see it either.
The guy's not even here, so.
Yeah.
Okay, well, it's gonna be a moment, so why don't we, while Ronnie is, oh, there it is. Okay, cool. Okay, so this is the development, you know, again, it belongs to. Wow, I get to see us again, okay. I saw it for a moment, where did it go? There it is, okay. It is, again, it's a property on Dam Road, it's an apartment building, and they're just trying to, like I said, do some work that needs a permit to be done, and has to go through the DCD to do it. And as we can see, did the rest of you have a chance to look at it, the link that was provided in the email announcing the meeting? Yes, no, maybe?
Yeah.
I don't understand.
Yeah, me too. I looked at it and it's like,
Okay, I have, would it be, maybe we should table it or not take any action?
I would table it until the guy can come and say,
Yeah.
Okay.
what he's talking about.
There it is. So basically, the come to, because if I can listen to the rest of the members of the
I
matter,
just
we
passed
don't,
this for
we
me.
don't have enough information to make a determination one way or the other. So maybe it could be brought back to the next meeting. It might be too late at that time because there's probably a due date for comments. But it still should be something that we should be able to weigh in on, just because. So we will leave that for next month and we'll go to the next item on the agenda, which is public comment on any item under the jurisdiction of the committee and not on this agenda. Speakers may be limited to 2 minutes and I will.
Excuse me, George, you skipped DI two.
Well, actually, we heard about DI2 earlier.
A little bit, we heard it mentioned.
We heard it, we actually had a bit of a discussion from Mr. Kopchick.
That's true.
So I thought that was sufficient. What did the rest of the group think? Do we need more information about the noise ordinance or were we satisfied with Mr. Kopchick's presentation on that?
I'm satisfied with it.
Okay, all right, okay.
For now.
All right, so we have, and of course, that's,
Going forward.
and that's a standing monthly agenda item, so that's going to be appearing on monthly agendas until we get what we hope is an appropriate resolution. Okay, so now we'll go to public comment. Anybody in the room or on Zoom, I mean, I don't see anybody on Zoom. We have, I see you, I just have to acknowledge everybody else as well.
Just keep it up until you're ready.
Okay, I'm ready. So is this about the ongoing, which issue is this about?
The RV at Hilltop in La Paloma.
Oh, yes, okay.
It spawns 2 more RVs at that intersection.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it has been at that location, the RV at Hilltop in La Paloma, for 3 years now.
Yeah.
When I came in January and I talked to the sheriff's department representative, he said that they can't just tow it, they need to accrue enough citations against the vehicle to then be able to tow it. And I asked for an estimate of how long that would be, and he said probably about a month. And it's 3 months later, it's still there. And it's setting a precedent for what the rest of the citizens in El Sobrante are going to expect, because along Hilltop, it is right on the entryway to the rest of our community. And the community's expectation is you can have an RV, because it's right there in your face all the time, every day that you come in and out. And it's been there for 3 years, and it's setting a really bad precedent. And we are seeing the expansion, lots of RVs in El Sobrante.
Living in them?
They're not living in them, no.
They're just.
Well, I've seen it extended and they have a power cord to it.
I have seen that. I didn't look close enough recently.
Yeah, I haven't seen it recently, but.
And furthermore, so there used to be a hilltop at Renfrew and Rincon, which the county did come in, exert some pressure on, that moved. Well, they decided that it was going to return. Because, so it has returned. It's returned. Renfrew and Rincon has returned. And if you just drive down San Pablo Dam Road, you can see that there's a number of other RVs popping up around the community. So El Sobrante is becoming a trailer park. And that's not, I know I'm being a little bit of hyperbole here,
You
but
are.
it's to illustrate a point that we can't be lax about these things, because when you are lax, especially lax for 3 years on something that is as prominently displayed as that one, you're going to invite more people to have RVs in El Sobrante, and it'll continue.
Okay.
Is that something that goes, that the sheriff would be dealing with?
That's right. The sheriff reported that it was going to be towed within a month of January.
Okay. So, maybe if the supervisor's office can have a chat with the sheriff and say that we've been told that in January that the offended vehicle will be handled in a month and.
Well, it was a tentative month minimum, just based off of what Lieutenant Holland did present. I know personally, driving up, I came off of Hilltop Drive and took that right on La Paloma, and there were 2 squad cars out there tagging the RV with like 4 officers. This was like an hour before today's meeting. So I can definitely follow up with Lieutenant Holland just to see if what would be the next steps on that.
And maybe address the concerns because Adam's right, especially on Dam Road, especially as you get further out Dam Road, where the road is really wide and has that enormous shoulder. There's lots of room to park RVs and.
That's not where it's parked.
I know, I'm just saying that in general, that there is a
It's setting the
concern.
precedent.
There is a concern that's like, if it's tolerated here, it's like, hey, there will be more. And that's not what any community should be looking for, not just El Sobrante, but just any community should not be having that issue. And, because if it's RVs, then we've had the issues with people like abandoning boats on Dam Road, which I thought was bizarre. But you drive by, oh, there's a boat, that makes no sense. So it is something that should be addressed, and as a follow-up, I'm gonna mention this sort of in my role as a community member, not on this. But I did mention to them that on El Centro, between Granada and Lambert, there is a trailer, an RV, if you will, and it's half of it is on the street and half of it is on the property, and it's all got tarps over it, which indicates they're trying to block out light, which means someone, I think, might be using that as a residence. And I did mention that at a previous meeting, so I hope that would be looked into as well. Okay, any other public comment?
I just have a question.
Okay.
And I'm sorry because I just started I don't know, a number of months back, but we have community groups that go out and assist the homeless and get them food and take them blankets and do all this stuff to help everybody out, and help the homeless community so that they're safe and warm, and that welcomes more homeless here, which we continue to see that grow. But we don't want the RVs and we don't want the trailers here because we don't want to set a precedence that it's okay. I'm a little confused here.
Well, it's a question of, I don't know that it's certainly not a crime where we would be homeless. But at the same time, what is being lived in is not permissible to be lived in.
So it's better if they don't have anywhere to go and we bring them
No, that's
to the
not.
homeless community and take away the trailers and.
No, that's not.
I'm just asking, so.
Okay. That's something I think that might.
This isn't a case of homelessness.
Right.
I mean, the owner lives right there.
Well, I'm sure he's renting that space out.
Could be.
I see all those cars parked there, there's trucks parked there, 2 or 3 of them.
I think at the end of the day, we do have
Right,
as we've
yeah.
mentioned a couple of times at every meeting, that there is a housing shortage, housing crisis, affordability crisis, whatever word you're gonna use. And whether people are, what we call traditionally homeless, I don't know, like living rough on the street in a tent in an RV, these are still our neighbors. And it needs to be sort of addressed with a sense of compassion. Now, if someone's being an active nuisance to their own neighbors, that's another issue, but saying like setting, I think it's dangerous to speak about human beings, but setting a precedent of people driving an RV into town seems to just be a really dispassionate.
I agree that it's an issue, don't get me wrong. But I believe that the homelessness is an issue, it's all an issue. But fixing one problem to create more of another is not the answer. For one, for two, we need to figure out what can we do about both of the issues. So
Agreed. Mickey?
Yeah, I'd just like to announce that we have some people in this room that formed an indivisible West Cocoa County chapter. And we're having regular Friday demonstrations, protests about what's going on in this country. At the corner of San Pablo Dam Road and Avenue Way, every Friday between 5 and 6, and everybody's welcome to come and wave your signs with us and express yourselves and let out some frustration with what's happening. And also there's going to be a big one there. We had one here in for the Hands Off rally. There was a local one that attracted about 250 to 400 people that came out there. And their next one's going to be on April 19th. following our Earth Day event, it will be like between 2 and 3. So come to Earth Day, and then if you want to join us at protest, we'll be going out to the corner afterwards. And I'm happy to say that the community seems very supportive, and it has not been, there haven't been any real issues with any problems. And that's attractive, so.
One last public comment?
Yeah, I just wanted to mention that, especially, we were just talking about the homeless, people issue, that, there's a group that's actually meeting and talking about trying to put together 50-unit, small, tiny houses, what they call it, development over by St. Louis Church. It's still in a rudimentary stage, but it's based on a project that's going on in Houston where they relocate people. Some people know where, but anyway, so Ayla, who is the Richmond council member, kind of covers a similar area to this. She's been involved in that, so I just, it's kind of interesting what your question was. It's like we're trying to deal with that, but it's not really a point where anybody's ready to come to the ES map with it.
I forgot to mention one quick thing. On April 27th, we're gonna have a meeting of Indivisible at the United Methodist Church at 3:00. And you're welcome to join us to strategize, help us strategize with how we want to address what's going on in the country.
Okay, well, the very last public comment.
So, well, I just wanted to try
So you
and
can't do that.
find a compromise here. I certainly am not trying to oust anybody of their homes. But there are zoning regulations as far as where you can, where you cannot have an RV that were made with the best of intentions of developing strong, healthy, safe communities. RVs belong in designated areas where it's been planned for there to have the right waste disposal, the right utilities, the right safe environment for those things to happen, as well as separating them from the communities that they don't belong in. And so I'm not necessarily saying you have to kick everybody out on the street, steal their homes or anything like that, but the county needs to do something to remove them from where they don't belong and make accommodations for where they do belong.
Okay, so the next item on the agenda was a subcommittee report, which we already heard from. So now it's down to agenda items, and speakers for upcoming meetings. Obviously, the standing agenda item for the noise ordinance. We want to hear from this project on Dam Road. We are here today. Maybe, Ronnie, it might not be a bad idea to perhaps have the county task force, the woman who works in the county who deals with homeless. Maybe we can get an update on what she's doing to work on help the homeless unhoused here in Sobrante, and also maybe get her take on the RV issue as well. Is that a possibility to have her come at the next meeting? I forget her name.
I mean, everything's a possibility. It's a matter of, scheduling and follow up. So, yeah, I'll definitely reach out, and we'll work on it.
That's a possibility. Do we want to have CDC come back?
We can. I believe he was saying he wanted to come back in June. Yeah.
That on the agenda.
Yeah.
What didn't get covered today, which was the retaining wall.
It's next meeting.
It's that meeting.
That's what we're gonna do. Any other agenda item requests from the man?
Did you mention the apartment building this part, proposal, should we invite them back in?
Which one? Where?
The Lowry property.
Property. Yeah, if there's an update on that.
There's no update. Yeah.
Okay, well, I guess when we have an update, that'll be on the agenda, so. All right, so let's do this. I think we should adjourn the meeting at 8:29 PM.
Hey.
Never heard of